Okay, so now I'm recording. All right. So first, I guess, is to tell us a little about yourself. You know, your age, your name, your what you're studying,
Okay.
your interests.
So I'm Alaya Duco-Lucard. I'm 19. I'm studying drama and music, and my interests, drama and music.
You're an actress, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're also a singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So are you currently in a band?
I'm currently in 2 bands.
2 bands?
I think. Yeah.
And you're singing in both bands.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool. So what are the band's names?
So our band, like our baby, is Star Junction.
Uh-huh.
And then I sing backup for another band called the Wishbones.
Oh, cool. Aren't you last band you were in? Wasn't that Brave Ulysses?
No, that's my
Oh,
guitarist's band.
So, other
his
band.
brother.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Cool. Very cool. And you know me from. How do you know me? Well, right now we're in 6 Degrees together.
Yeah.
But we knew that briefly before from.
I know
directing.
you from directing.
Yeah. Awesome. So let's see. So circumstances. So circumstances of your birth. When? Well, I guess we know when you were born because you just said you were 19. Well, where were you born?
So I was born in Bayonne, which is a small town in the southwest of France.
But how do you spell that?
Bayonne.
Bayonne, France.
Yep.
It's a small town where?
Southwest of France.
Mm-hmm.
Like really near the border of Spain.
Oh, yeah.
On the coast. Yeah.
Cool. And who are your parents?
So my mom is Caroline Phillips, and she actually is from here, and then she moved. She was my age when she moved to Paris, and then she met my dad, who was from Bayonne when they were in Paris, and then they fell in love and they got
Married.
and no, they fell in love and then they moved together to Bayonne, and then they got me.
Oh, cool. Why did your mother move to Paris?
She always had like a fascination for the French culture, and like she loved French movies, and my great grandma was really into being open to different cultures and always told me, and she was the first person to take my mom to France.
Oh.
And so my mom loved it and decided to move there.
When was the first time your mother visited France?
I think she was like 18.
18?
17,
Okay.
yeah.
And then like about a year later, she was like, I love France, I want to go back.
Yeah.
And she was like studying in university around this time, roughly?
Yeah, she actually graduated high school early, like a year earlier than she should have. So I think she went to DVC for a little bit.
Oh, she went to DVC?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's crazy. Oh.
She went to DVC for a bit, and she also went to, what is that school? Northridge.
Northridge?
LA.
Oh.
Yeah. And,
CSU Northridge.
And then when she was in Paris, she studied at the Sorbonne, which.
Oh, did she? Oh,
yeah.
That's a very famous school. What did she study?
She studied French.
French?
Yeah.
Oh,
French
cool.
language.
Cool. That's really cool. Yeah, my mother actually she studied abroad in Japan for a while actually.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she studied the Japanese language. So yeah, so you mentioned, like, I know from earlier conversations with you that your father speaks Basque.
Mm-hmm.
And so Bayonne, is that Basque country?
Yeah.
That
Bayonne is in the Basque Country. The Basque Country is basically, it's kind of heart-shaped, I guess. Like, it goes down to, like, it goes past Bilbao. It goes almost till Barcelona in the Spanish part, and then in the French part it goes up to, like, a little bit past Bayonne, but not that far.
Mm-hmm.
So
tell us, so your father, he was born and raised in the Basque Country?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. And would you say that, like, the Basque Country, the culture there is, like, notably, it's different from the culture of, like, rest of France, right? Even though it is a part of France.
It's very different, but it's also discreet because, like, France has this whole policy, French is our language. You can't, like, no other languages must be official in France. Only French must be official. So we have our, unofficial Basque schools, and we'll have, you know, like folk dancing where I live, or we'll have Mardi Gras, which is, no one really cares in France about it, honestly. Like, they'll dress up, but in the Basque tradition, like, we have characters and we have all this story around it, and we have our language, and we have a lot of riots.
Riots? Riots.
A lot of strikes, a lot of riots for Basque rights.
Oh. So is Basque, so I know that Basque is a different language from France, and the people in Basque country speak Basque. So do the people there speak Basque as their first language and France is their second language, or is that?
No, it's usually like whatever part of the Basque country you're in. Like, if you're in the French part, you speak French first, and you learn Basque with it. And then same if you're in Spain, you speak Spanish and Basque.
Right. So would you say that the people of the Basque country consider themselves to be like a different ethnic group than the rest of France, or would you say that?
Kind of. It depends. Because like some people, because there's this whole idea of we want the Basque country to be independent.
Right.
And there's all those people who are into that, and there's that terrorist group ETA who's like.
There's a terrorist group?
Yeah,
oh, wow.
ETA that wants Basque independence, but they do it by violence.
Right.
Thank God they've stopped that, and I think they're open to negotiation. But, so yeah, there's all the people who want to be independent and that say, no, I'm Basque, I'm not French, I'm not
right.
Spanish and stuff like that. But then there are people who accept like, oh hey, we're still part of this other country.
Right.
So we're not that different. We just have our own culture.
So how does your father personally feel about this, do you know?
He actually was one of the he actually was in a band, one of the first Basque rock groups that became pretty big, and they were pretty big on like sending the message like we need independence, and but it was also at the time where Franco was still in power in Spain.
Right.
So
it was fascist.
my dad has all these great stories of running from the police at a show. Oh hey, the police is coming, grab your guitar, run. And
when they were performing in Spain.
Yeah, and sending all these messages of like we need freedom, and like at that time was more being free from Franco than just being free of the country they were in.
Right.
Yeah, and my dad is like more like the Basque people are different and we have our own culture, but we do still live in France, and that's a reality. But he's really into like, don't call that village by that French name. It has a Basque name. And yeah, it's really like he's really chill about it though.
Oh, right. What was the name of this band, and when were they active?
Their band was called Errobi, which is ERROBI.
ERROBI?
Yeah.
And that's pronounced how?
Errobi.
Oh, cool.
And they were really active, like I want to say 70s. Mm-hmm. And then did they go into the 80s? I don't even know. I don't know how long that band lasted.
But roughly in that ballpark.
So like towards the end of Frankism.
Right. And they were a rock band?
Yeah, like experimental rock.
Experimental. Were they kind of like punk influenced at all? Because that's kind of the era when punk really was big.
They were more like 70s, like psychedelic rock influence.
Oh, okay.
They have a lot of different influences. Like all their albums have different influences.
Right. And does the Basque country have a strong is there like a big religious character to that culture? Like, is there like a single religion that's really dominant, or?
Well, originally the Basque people were pagan, and we had our own mythology, and like that's a thing that's in museums now. But we had our own mythology, and but then when the French came over in Spain, like they were very Catholic, and that became now there's a lot of Basque people are Catholic.
Right.
And so much that now there's a bunch of churches who do services in Basque. So at Christmas I go watch a service in Basque, and all these little Basque children singing.
Oh.
And we incorporate our culture into the Catholic ceremonies. And that was... The fact that we became Catholic became a big thing because there was a lot of witch hunts in the Basque culture at a time. So...
Wait, so the witch hunts came because of the conversion to Catholicism?
Well, it became a problem because we were converting to Catholicism, that if people weren't Catholic or behaved a bit differently, they were considered witches.
Oh, right. And because like the old religion was like pagan, there were a lot of quote unquote witches.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I can see it. And okay, so when was, do you know like when that was like around, like witch hunts?
The witch hunts were 16th century, I
16th
think,
century.
and it was. I did this whole paper about it. And yeah, it was all in the 16th century. There's actually this movie that came out recently by. Have you seen Balada Triste?
No. Is there an English title?
It's a Spanish movie, but like you can get it with English subtitles. And the guy who directed that movie just did a movie about the witches of Sugaramurti, which is a village that is, I don't know, like more in the mountains than where I live.
Right.
And they were the most famous witches that happened, and there's this big how do you say that? Cave. There's a cave. There's this big cave where they used to have their like sabbats and stuff like that. And it became a big touristy place, and now it's closed because it's like deteriorating because of all the tourists.
Right.
But they made this movie, like, it's really funny, and it's like this whole parody of it.
Right.
Like you see all the like original ideas of the thing, so it's really interesting.
Right. Okay, so moving on to the next round of questions. So where did you grow up? You grew up primarily. I could be wrong, but you grew up in France, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so so when did you relocate here?
So I grew up in Bayonne. And then when I was about 10, I moved to this tiny village in the mountains called Villafranche.
That's spelled Villafranque.
No, Villefranque.
Nque. Oh wow. Okay, and that's a tiny village.
Yeah, it's a tiny village. I don't think our population exceeds 1,000. Yeah, so I became a country girl, and then I used to visit here to see my grandparents on my mom's side from time to time, every like summer or at Christmas too. And then that became scarce because I had a whole bunch of tests. And then I moved here officially like around beginning of August. Last August.
August 2013. So when did you move to Villafranche?
I think I was 9 when we started building the house, and I was 10 when we actually moved in.
Wait, you guys built the house?
Yeah, we built the house.
Your family actually built. Wow.
We bought the land and we built the house.
Oh wow. And did you guys like? So you said I became a country girl. Did you guys farm on that land?
No, but like our neighbors have goats, and I can see donkeys and cows from my window, and.
Wow. Did you like ride the donkeys ever?
No, you can't ride them. They're other people's property.
But wouldn't your neighbors like? I mean, like I would like let like little kids ride my donkeys. Well, so what did your father do for a living in Villafranche?
My dad was a music therapist for a really long time. Now he's become more of a musician, and he's touring with a new band, a couple of bands that he's in. One in particular actually toured here for a while, and then my mom owns. When she moved to Bayonne, decided that she needed to have more education, and she was really interested in like internet, and that was like she moved there when internet was starting to be a big thing in the 90s. Right. And so she learned the craft and has a company that makes internet sites.
Oh, does she? Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Well, okay, so you moved to Villafranche when you were 9. And you officially relocated to the U.S. to live with you're living with your grandparents right
yes.
now, right? In August 2013. And so between then you just lived in Villafranche. You didn't live anywhere else in France?
No.
Okay, so growing up, like what was your like typical day like as a child in that village?
Well, I guess it was like get up at like 5:30.
5:30 in the morning? Why did you get up so early?
Yo, my makeup is an art, okay? Choosing an outfit is an art. So I would get up early, make myself look nice, eat breakfast if I had the time, walk down the very tiny street up to my bus stop, which was just at the top of my neighborhood,
Mm-hmm.
which was really creepy because in the winter it was all like foggy and dark.
Oh, wow.
And it rained a lot. Then I took the bus, which was like, I think 20, 25 minutes to get to Bayonne. And then
Wait,
got
wait.
off.
You went to school in Bayonne?
Yeah.
Oh, so
It's not that far, honestly. It's like
it's
15
25 minutes there.
on the bus.
On the bus.
Like in a car, it's like 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
But yeah, with the bus it was like 20, 25, 30 minutes.
Right.
You get to Bayonne, get off the bus, wait for the other bus that's going to take me to my high school. Get on the other bus, which also takes 20 minutes for whatever reason, when
wow.
it should only take 5. So that was like 40 minutes of bus every morning.
Oh, wow.
And then school started at 8, and then it could go till the earliest we could get out was like 4, and then the latest we could get out was like 6 or 7 if I had a drama class after that.
So wait, why was there no like fixed time to get out of class? Why was it?
Because they're like, we have, I believe in America you guys have the same schedule every day, right?
Roughly. My school, my high school, we did this thing called block schedule where we had 6 classes. We would take 3 classes one day, 3 classes the other 3 the other day, kind of like that.
Okay.
But other than that, it was you were right. It was
Yeah,
pretty much the same schedule.
Because in France you have a different schedule every single day.
Do you?
Yeah. So like a Monday I would have 2 hours of philosophy, 1 hour of literature, then I think I'd have another hour of something, then I'd have lunch, and then I'd have, for example, if Monday I finished early, I would just have 3 more hours of class, and then I'd get out at 3:40. And then, like, on Wednesdays we always finished at 12:30. That was the early day. And then on Fridays we finished early too, but then when I was a senior they decided to have us finish late all the time.
So the classes were conducted in French, right?
Yeah.
Not in Basque.
No.
No. Okay. And everybody in your school
Because I went to a Basque high school my first year of high school, and then I was having such bad grades there that I decided to go to a French school.
And did you start doing better?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
Like, all the teachers were like, "Oh, she's terrible," and then like I come back and I'm like, "Hey, yo, I got A's."
Maybe you're the terrible teacher. Yeah. So cool. So right. So you took the So wait, let me see. Cool. So I know that like I think I briefly heard you mention that like when you were going to school, like other kids, like your friends used to tease you about being American. Like, did that happen? Like, what did they like? What did they say?
In preschool or stuff, people. First of all, I was a special child, and second of all, I couldn't really, like, I didn't speak French very well until I was like 8 because I would always mix up feminine, masculine, and all that stuff because I was learning everything at the same time.
Right. You were learning 3 languages at the same time.
So people would make fun of me for that. and then when I got to my first high school, the Basque high school, everyone started teasing me about being American, and I would be like talking about, oh my god, I can't wait to be this summer, I get to visit my grandparents, blah blah blah, and they're all like, whoa, you American, like you get to visit there and shit. And I'm like, I'm visiting my family, like, guys, and they would just be assholes about it. So that's also a reason I left that school. But yeah, everyone in like the school I went to was like a typically like bourgeois school, like it had that reputation. And there were those people there, but they were much more accepting of like differences than my other school was, that became really closed in the Basque culture. They didn't want anything different there. So that happened.
Wow. Okay, so I have to ask, because so the Basque country and France, so are there like significant like differences in the food that is eaten in the Basque country? Is there? Because I know like France, like people think like, because they have a rich culinary culture in France. Like, I mean,
yeah, we have a really good culinary culture in the Basque country too.
That's
like
famous.
It's a lot of fish because we used to be
Basque country's a lot of fish?
A lot of fish, chicken, because we're a farming and a fishing or culture originally. Like that's part of like the witch hunt. It's this whole like big conspiracy thing.
Right.
But the Basque people had very, very, very good ties with the Canadians when they went whale fishing and just fish fishing, and so they'd get the best fish from Canada as opposed to France.
Right.
Because the French were assholes. So we have a lot of fish in our food, and then we have chicken because we farm,
Right.
and then we'll have like beef because we also have cows, and then we'll have like this great ground beef and like all these different things that we make that are just great, and it involves a lot of spices and like bell peppers and sage and thyme and stuff like that.
Nice. So what would you say is like, because you know, like I'm Korean, and like when you think Korean food, like the obvious like iconic Korean food is kimchi. You know, that's like that's what the one everyone thinks about. Like, what would you think is like the iconic Basque food, like the one that everybody?
The iconic Basque food is the Basque pepper.
The Basque
There's this
pepper.
village called Espelette, and
How do
they
you spell
have
that?
like Espelette.
Is it cool?
And we have, I don't want to brag, but we have like, our peppers are like the best. And, like,
In
they're
the
great.
world? Would you
In the
say?
world,
In
no.
the
But we're famous for those peppers.
Oh.
And basically, if you ever look up the Basque Country or that village is famous because they take all the peppers and then they string them. They sew them to the string, and you have like a bunch of peppers like this, and then they drape them over houses. So you have windows with like just garlands of red peppers all over these white houses, and like it's so iconic of our.
Are they drying the peppers?
Yeah, they're drying the peppers, and then we make sauces with them. We have little powder things that we'll put in our food. We make jam with it.
Jam.
Yeah, jam. It's interesting tasting. And then Bayonne is also famous because that's where chocolate came in first into Europe. We were the portal for chocolate.
What?
And so we are famous because we have like one of the best chocolate factories like in all over
France.
Europe.
All over Europe.
And so we have pepper chocolate and all these creepy Basque things that we have, and it's really interesting.
What's your personal favorite Basque food?
My personal favorite is this thing called poulet basquez, and it's Basque chicken, basically.
It's what chicken?
Basque chicken is what it's called, and it's just this like chicken just cooked with a lot of different spices, and it's like it's a bit spicy, and you'll have rice with it, and if you're old enough, you'll have wine with it, and it's really good.
Oh, cool. Nice. Basque chicken. So next round of questions is okay. So we already do. So why did you exactly like? What was the impetus behind you permanently relocating to the US?
The first reason was I didn't really have any other choice as far as schools went. So, because I auditioned for a lot of drama schools in England.
England.
Yeah, in England and Ireland and Scotland, and they were very difficult to get into, and so I didn't get into them. And we hadn't really thought about me going to school in France for whatever reason.
Why?
I don't even know, man.
Your parents were just like, okay, so audition for all these schools, but none in France.
Yeah, it was this whole like we didn't know what school I wanted to go to in France, and it was the drama schools in France aren't that good, and as far as prices go, like it's so expensive to live in Paris.
Yeah.
So,
Because most of that is clustered in Paris.
so I came here because DVC is
Your mother,
easier to get
yeah,
into,
yeah.
and
Your mother
and I
went
have
there too.
my family here, and so it helped save a bit of money, and also just I wanted to study in English really bad. So
Did you? Was that a big thing that you wanted
Yeah.
to study English?
I
Why?
wanted to study drama in English.
Why?
Because I like drama in English better.
Do you?
Because in France, they're always stuck in this they always do this one technique, very farce, very physical. They don't delve more into the emotional stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like if your director tells you your character is sad, you have to think about how your character would look sad physically, and then you can be sad. So I got kind of sick of that because literally every single drama school I went to was just always that. So here we explore more stuff. And I think that's
we do more
interesting.
characterization work. Right. So before you permanently relocate here, like you would visit here like every summer and such.
Yeah.
But you never like lived here for an extended period of time,
No.
right? So like, did you have any like what did you think like living in the U.S. permanently was going to be like? Did you have any like preconceived notions?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like vacation all the time. Like I was gonna be chilling with my friends. That didn't happen. I don't know. I just you have all these cliches, like all these movie images of like what college is gonna be like. Okay, like there's gonna be
California too.
Yeah, like California, everyone's gonna be surfing, man, and like we're gonna go to the pool all the time, and nope.
Well, we're in the north. I mean, I feel like that's more like Southern California. But did you have any like, cause like one thing like Americans like get sensitive about is like people overseas like making fun of like weight and like.
Yeah.
Did you think like Americans gonna be gonna be like fat and like dumb or
No,
anything?
because I came here often enough to know that
To
that's
know
not
that,
true.
right.
And people always told me, "Yeah, aren't all Americans like super fat?" I'm like, no, they're not. No.
Yeah. So what do you like best about the U.S. and what do you like the least about it, like in comparison to France?
What I like best is how open people are to difference, and like how encouraging they are of people who are different. And what I like the least is why do Americans have such big portions for their food? It's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous.
Do you really think so? Like Americans
Yes.
eat a lot of food?
Because, like, if you go to McDonald's or, like, one of those fast foods, you're like, oh, hey, can I have a medium? Like, you see a small is this big, and then a medium is that big. That's a large in France, okay? That's, like, an extra large.
Yeah, I heard that too, actually. And I didn't know if that person was being
So I
serious.
always get, like, a small every time I have to go to a fast food. It's just, like, the sizes are ridiculous. Or they'll just be just the portions of food. Like, if you go, like, Chili's or, like, one of those, like, the plates are humongous. I'm just like, why? Why? No one needs to eat that much.
That's funny, because, like, whenever I see, like, French cuisine, like, I always have the opposite reaction. I always look at that and think, are those portions really small? Can people actually get full off of that? Like, that's what I think. But I guess I'm kind of
Because,
more
like,
Americanized.
the biggest difference between Europe and America is that Europeans eat until they are not hungry anymore, and Americans eat until they're full.
Full, yeah. That's what I do. You know, I wanna just, when I go to a restaurant, I want to eat until I'm, like, stuffed. And, like, I don't know how I'm not fat. So yeah, so you mentioned like you said U.S. like you so in your opinion people are more accepting of differences like in the U.S. than they are in France.
Yeah.
Would you say France is like more like
Like-
insular?
Like, it depends because France has had a long history of, like, anti-Semitism with the whole, like, when the Nazis came and took over, and that kind of stayed.
Did
and
it?
there are still a lot of people, mostly over the age of 50, who are still, like,
Really?
part of that
Like that?
way of thinking, and
Oh,
they're
wow.
very
I didn't know that.
anti-Semi, anti any sort of other culture,
Uh-huh.
and anti-American especially, because the Americans didn't save us, or
Whatever.
and they still think of that, and I'm like, come on, you guys, like, it's over, okay? So there's still that kind of like way of thinking, in some places, and then in some other places, like kids my age will be like really open, and then some won't be. Like, it really depends on how you were brought up and your way of thinking.
Cool. So let me think. So let's see. I'll ask a couple more questions and then we'll call it a day because I feel like we have a lot of material already. Okay, so I guess one is so would you say that like having moved to the U.S. like would you say you're a markedly different person now than when you lived in France, or would you say you're roughly just the same person in a different country?
I feel like I'm the same person in a different country. Like, I've adapted to how like I live in America. and like say when I go back home, I'm a bit different because it's just a different culture.
Right.
And there's a different way of acting.
Right. Absolutely, I understand that.
But I don't know. I feel like coming here has brought me more maturity because I was really, really homesick when I got here, and I really hated being here. And now I enjoy it more because I know that I have a lot of chances here that I wouldn't have back in France. So.
And you also have like friends now. Yeah.
And so it like really makes a difference as to.
Absolutely.
I feel like I'm more open, I guess.
Right.
Like I'm more like relaxed because that California like I could just be chill.
I know.
Like,
I totally get that. Like, because when I came here when I was really young, like 8, so like for me like that process took a lot longer because I had to like learn the language from scratch and stuff. But I totally get what you mean. Like you become over time, you just kind of adapt. You get used to being here. Now I feel like I belong here.
Yeah.
I'm a citizen, so now what happened? So how do you feel? You know, because there's a debate in the U.S. about like how like immigration should be handled, like, and you know it's like, you know, Arizona is like passing all these very draconian laws like regarding like the Mexico-Arizona border.
Oh, yeah.
How do you feel about that personally?
I mean, I'm not for or against immigration because like I understand if you live in a country that is poorer or has all these political problems and issues that you should be able, I think you should be able to go to another country, but at the same time, if it's a country that's starting to get too much of that, like that starts to become a problem. Like in France, we're starting to have a problem because if you are a citizen of the EU, you can go anywhere in Europe with your just your
that citizenship
identity card. And like I know in Paris it's starting to become a huge problem.
Is it?
Just because there's too much of them.
Really?
Too much people moving in and who don't like the poverty is like going up.
Is it?
And like
'cause I know Paris is like a big tourist capital.
Yeah. And I don't know, like, I don't really know, man.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I think
I know,
immigration should be
complicated.
something that's possible, and it shouldn't. It should be a bit difficult because you never know who you're letting in.
Right.
But it shouldn't be too difficult to the point where they have to kick you out.
Right. Okay, so let me look at this. So how do you like UBC?
I actually really like DVC.
Yeah, me too.
It's nice.
Yeah, it's a good school.
It's a good school, and I know that I'm in the hands of capable people in the drama department.
Yeah.
And all of that, and I get to do really cool things, like in the music department. Like one of the classes I'm taking, because of that class, I get to meet all these cool people and do all these cool things. So it's really nice.
So do you like? So does your family like? Because I know, like, you know, like there's a big like Korean American community in the area. Like, is there like a French like immigrant like community?
There actually is. There's a small one around here, and then there's a really big one in San Francisco, and they actually meet often, like for dinner and stuff like that. And I would love to go, but they keep going to really, really nice restaurants. I cannot afford it. So, or restaurants that are for people over 21. So.
They're French, you know.
Yeah,
they're French. They're not gonna.
And there's also a very big Basque community in San Francisco.
Oh, is there? I didn't know that.
And they have like they'll have like Basque dinners and like they'll play cards and
nice,
yeah, that's nice.
Cool. Okay, so I think that's about it. I think that's about all we need to talk about. So I guess there are just 4 like wrap-up questions. Like it's not really part of the interview. I do have to ask them. Okay, so are there any details that you'd prefer we left out of the transcript? Like what we just...
No,
nothing?
I'm fine.
What part of your story would you like most to be included in our final production? Kind of a redundant question, because if you said no to number 1, I'm just going to include everything.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Number 3, which part of your story do you think is most important for audience members to hear? What part of the story that we just told would you say is just most important to you personally?
I don't know.
You don't know? Okay.
Just me moving here, maybe.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for your time.
welcome.
Thank you for inviting me to your home. This has been enormously helpful. It's been actually really interesting, this story.
Okay.
So yeah, so what's your name again?
Alaya.
Alaya, right? Okay. Alaya, wait, so Alaya, say your full name.
Alaya Ducau-Lucart.
How do you spell that?
Ducau, a little line, whatever
line,
that's. Lucart, Lucart.
Cool. Okay, thank you, Alaya.
You're welcome.